Starting with the skin, we will apply 2 thin layers of Bagman's glue. We will proceed with iron hand steel and paint the headband and the neck armor. Making a 1-to-1 mix of Abaddon black and Screamer pink, we will paint the windows on the neck armor. Once everything is dry, we will wash the neck armor with Nuln oil. Using Mephiston red, we will paint the interior of the headband. While waiting for the red to dry, we will paint the epidermis with KDN flesh tone. We will now wash the headband with Nuln oil. The eyebrows will be painted with a thin layer of Xandri dust. With Abaddon black, we will carefully paint the eyelashes. I have added a bit of whitewash in the eye sockets in order to check the eye expansion. It is nothing to worry about if you don't want to do it. Using Corax white, we will paint the sclera of the eyes. We will paint over the dark red of the headband with Evil Sun Scarlet. Try not to go too close to the edges. Staying on the headband, with Iron Hand Steel we will do edge highlights. Now we will layer some of the edge highlights with Storm Host Silver. For the irises, we will use a 3-to-1 mix of Averland Sunset and Abaddon Black. As it is a small gap to paint in, take all the time you need. The pupils will be done with Abaddon Black. Time to highlight the skin. Making a 1-to-1 mix of Cadian flesh tone and Kislev flesh, we will paint the nose bridge as well as the cheekbones and the areas near them. We will do a second highlight on the skin with pure Kislev flesh. Again, our targets are the cheekbones and the nose bridge, this time taking less area than the previous highlight. Finally, with Mephiston red, we will paint the lips. As the area is weird, you may overpaint it. Fix all areas painted outside of the lips with KDN flesh tone. We will now move to the hair. With Xandri dust, we shall paint the entire piece. With the belly of a small brush, we will make highlights on the hair with Ushapti bow. Take all the time you need and go through the entire piece. Don't worry too much if you paint in the recesses, as we will shade it later. In order to bring the colors together, we will wash the entire piece with a 1-to-1 mix of Skeleton Horde and Lamian Medium. Once the piece is dry, we will thin down a bit of Ushapti bone with Lamian Medium and go over the highlights again, this time picking the most raised ones. We will do a second highlight over the same area with Pallid Witch Flesh thinned down with Lamian Medium. With a 2-to-1 mix of Seraphim Sepia and Lamian Medium, we will do a second color blending. We will use the mix as a glaze and paint over the entire piece. Once the glaze has dried, we will do a second layer of highlights with pallid witch flesh, this time only at the front and most raised areas. Let's finish the project with a crown. Using iron hand steel, we will paint the entire piece. As customary, we will shade the crown with Nuln oil. Once the shade has fully dried, we will do highlights of the edges and the most raised areas with iron hand steel. Finally, we will make a second layer of the previous highlights with Storm Host Silver. This is the result of our wonderful work. Starting with the breastplate, we will cover the entire armor with iron hand steel. The few places between the armor where the cloth can be seen will be covered with Black Templar. Making a 1-to-1 mix of Abaddon Black and Screamer Pink, we will paint the frontmost piece of the breastplate. Making another 1-to-1 mix, this time of Screamer Pink and German Grey, we will paint the cloth hanging under the breastplate. We will wash the entire armor with Nuln oil to remove the sparklingness and darken the pink a bit further. With pure Screamer Pink, we will start our highlights. For the breastplate, paint the upper quarter of the dark pink, then give a second layer to half of that area. With a bit of Demonette hide, we will do edge highlights to the cloth. The panels on the back will be painted with a mix of Abaddon Black and German Grey. Going back to the breastplate, with iron hand steel we shall do some highlights to the raised areas. Lastly, we will do extra highlights with Storm Host Silver over the previous highlights, covering less area. Having completed the breastplate, we will now move to the pauldrons. With the Abaddon Black and German Grey mix we had made earlier, we will paint the entirety of both pieces. Using German Grey, we will do highlights close to the edges. Applying a 1-to-1 mix of Eschin Grey and German Grey, we will go over the previous highlight, this time covering less area. Finally, using pure Eschin Grey, we will do edge highlights to the most raised areas. Moving to the lower back guard, we will base the entire piece with iron hand steel. Once it has dried, we will paint the interior with our Screamer Pink and Abaddon Black mix. We will wash the piece with Nuln oil. highlights will be done with Screamer Pink, avoiding painting too close to the edges as we want them dark. After we're sure that the paint has dried, we will do edge highlights with Iron Hand Steel. Second layer of the highlights will be done with Storm Host Silver. For the nape guard, you can follow the exact same steps as with a back guard. Time for the arms. Let's start with painting all the armor around them with Iron Hand Steel. The parts between the armors will be painted with Black Templar. We will overlay all flat areas of the armor pieces with the Screamer Pink and Abaddon Black mix we made earlier. Once our colors have dried, we will wash with Null Oil. With Screamer Pink, we will start painting highlights on the armor. For the arm that holds the shield, it is better we only make highlights from the visible side, as the other will be obstructed by the shield. Iron Hand Steel will once again be used to assist us at making highlights on the armor. We will finalize the highlights on the armor with the use of Storm Host Silver. Paying closer attention to the shield arm, we will paint the leather straps with Rhinox hide. We shall highlight the straps with a layer of Doom Bull Brown. On the most raised areas, we will make another highlight with Scrag Brown. For the hands, we will start with Iron Hand Steel and paint all the armor parts. The non-armored parts will be painted with Black Templar. A wash in non-oil is required to proceed. Going back to the Iron Hand Steel, we will do the first layer of highlights. We'll top the last highlight with Storm Host Silver to finish the piece. For the straps on the hand with the shield, follow the steps we made earlier. The sun symbol will have a base color of Everland Sunset. We will then make a thin layer of Flusk Gits Yellow. Let's finish the sun with some highlights of Dorn Yellow. The results of our hard work are visible. Good job, everyone. Starting with the boots, we're going to paint the whole piece with Iron Hand steel. Once the steel has fully dried, we will shade the whole piece with Nuln Oil. Following the last step, we will go back to Iron Hand steel and make some highlights close to the edges. Finally, we will do edge highlighting with Storm Host Silver. Let's move to the knee guards now. First, we will fully cover both pieces with Iron Hand steel. Once the steel has fully dried, we will cover the inner parts with a 1-to-1 mix of Screamer Pink and Abaddon Black. Any mistakes can be mended now or become highlights later. After we let the color dry, we will cover the pieces with Nuln Oil to give them a nice shade. To make highlights in the pink area, we will use Screamer Pink. Try to avoid painting too close to the edges. Using the belly of a brush and Iron Hand steel, we will overlay part of the metallic to give them highlights. Finally, like the boots, we will make edge highlights using Storm Host Silver. With the knee guards done, let's move to the main lower body. Starting with Black Templar, we will paint all but the armor. For the armor, we will use a mix of German Grey and Abaddon Black, roughly 1-to-1 mix. Then, we will use pure German Grey and make some highlights near the edges. Making a mid-tone of German Grey and Ashen Grey, 1-to-1, we will overlay the already made highlights on the armor. Lastly, using pure Ashen Grey, we will do edge highlights. Next comes the front skirt. Using a mix of Screamer Pink and Abaddon Black, 1-to-1, we shall paint the whole piece. With the use of Runelord brush, we will paint the area near the edges. In order to give a bit of depth to the brush, we will shade it with Agrax Earth Shade. Once our shade has fully dried, we will make some edge highlights with Canop Tech Alloy. For the front armor, we will need the German Grey and Abaddon Black mix we have done earlier. Going to the back skirt, we will use the Screamer Pink and Abaddon Black mix we used earlier in order to cover the entire piece. We will cover the raised areas except the very bottom of the tail with the Runelord brass. The tail will be painted with Iron Hand steel. For the shades, use Agrax Earth Shade for the brass area. and Nuln Oil for the steel. Using Canoptech alloy, we shall highlight the brass areas. With Iron Hand steel, we will highlight the tail. As extra highlight on the tail, we will use Storm Host Silver. Next up are the skirt sides. Starting with corn red, we will paint the topmost part. With a mix of Screamer Pink and Abaddon Black, we will paint the main body of the straps. For the raised area near the end of the straps, as well as the raised sides, we will use German Grey. The armor on the back of the piece will be painted with Iron Hand steel. We will shade the armor once again with Nuln Oil. Going back to the top of the part using Rune Lord brass, we will paint the details that exist. After waiting a bit for the brass to dry, we will shade it with Akrax Earth Shade. Don't be afraid of shading the red close to the details. As we wait for the Akrax to dry, we will go back to the shaded metallic armor and do highlights with Iron Hand steel. We shall now overlay the steel with Storm Host Silver for extra highlights. Going back to the brush area, we will do highlights with Canoptech alloy. The last two pieces are the hip armor, so we will start with Iron Hand steel and paint the outline. We will make a mix of Abaddon Black and Screamer Pink and paint the interior of the hip armor. We need to be careful not to paint on the outline or the walls. Once the dark pink has dried, we will shade the entire piece with Nuln Oil and then give it a bit of time to dry. We will proceed to open the color in the middle with one layer of Screamer Pink. Paint most of the area while leaving the dark color near the walls of the outline. Staying with Screamer Pink, we will do another layer, but this time we will cover less area close to the center. Finally, we will do a 1-to-1 mix of Kislev Flesh and Screamer Pink and paint again close to the center, covering even less area. Being careful not to paint over the rest, we will do edge highlights to the outline with Iron Hand steel. Finally, we will layer some of the edges with Storm Host Silver. This is the assembled piece that we have been working so hard to make a reality. We will start with a mix of German grey and Abaddon black, roughly 1:1 mix, and paint the base of the shield. Keep the mix at hand as we will use it a lot in this video. Moving forward, we will paint the rims of the shield base with Iron Hand steel. In case you paint over the dark grey, reapply the mix at the location. As with every metallic we have used so far, a nice shade with Nuln Oil is required. Going back to the Iron Hand steel, we will make highlights across the raised areas of the back of the shield base. As a second highlight, we will pass only the most raised edges with Stormhost silver. After the last step, the shield base is done and we can move to the shield sides. Just as we started, we will take our 1:1 mix of Abaddon black and German grey and paint the shield sides. We may paint the whole piece with the mix as a base, since we will overlay everything we need later. The areas at the very sides that are a bit raised will be painted with Iron Hand steel. Since we use the metallic, it is time to give it a shade using Nuln Oil. We will paint the areas near the edges with Iron Hand steel to give them a bit of a highlight. We shall now do a bit of edge highlighting with Stormhost silver. With the last step done, the shield sides are completed and we will now move on to the shield front. Like the previous parts, we will start with a 1:1 mix of German grey and Abaddon black, painting the whole piece. The shield front has 3 distinct levels. We will paint the upper 2 levels with Iron Hand steel. A nice bath in Nuln Oil will follow. Going back to Iron Hand steel, we will make highlights on the most raised level of the shield front. Finally, we will make edge highlights with Stormhost silver. Penultimate shield piece, the shield top, will get a nice base coat of our 1:1 mix of German grey and Abaddon black. With the belly of a small brush and pure German grey, we will make some edge highlights. Finally, we will end the piece with a coat of Eshin grey over all the raised areas. For the eclipsed sun, we will need Dorn Yellow. We will work from bottom to top for better results. From the middle and upwards, we will paint the piece with a 1-to-1 mix of Corn Red and Everland Sunset. Finally, the upper part of the piece will be covered with Abaddon Black. Your finished and assembled shield should look like this. Moving to the sword hilt, give it a base coat of our German grey and Abaddon black. Paint the diamond at the bottom of the hilt with white scar. Any other white paint will also work. Once the white has dried, we will paint over it with Volupus pink. Next part is the blade. We will start with Screamer pink and paint the internal part. Coming up next, a mix of Pink Horror and Everland Sunset, roughly 1-to-1 mix. We will paint a small flame coming from the base of the sword. We will highlight that small flame with a mix of Kidian Flesh Tone and White Scar. Once again, the mix is 1-to-1. To finish the flame, we will do a final coat of pure white scar over it, taking this time a little less space. We are going to paint the circle over our flame with Abaddon Black in order to simulate an eclipse. Making a 1-to-1 mix of Corn Red and Everland Sunset, we will paint along the blade. We are going to use our normal mix of German Grey and Abaddon Black and paint the base of the sword. We are also going to paint the raised border-like areas along the middle. Using a new mid-tone 1-to-1 of Flash Gitz Yellow and Mephiston Red, we are going to paint closer to the edge of the blade. On top of the previous layer, we are going to apply a mix of Flash Gitz Yellow and Dorn Yellow, 1-to-1 mix. Finally, we are doing edge highlights with pure Dorn Yellow. Going back to the base, we will use pure German Grey and make some highlights. Finally, we will layer over some of the previous highlights at the base of the blade with etching gray. Here is the result of our work on the blade. All colors used in this video are on your screen now. This was MiniatureUrsus. Thank you for watching and I will see you on the next one.